A recent guest on Tucker Carlson's show wants you to shut your mouth and start appreciating freedom.
It seems like people who move here from countries that are not free appreciate the freedoms here much more than a lot of us who grew up with those freedoms. Have you noticed that?
You know, I feel like I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna be honest. People should feel really blessed and lucky to be in be in America, because, you know, they love to criticize it, but when you live a country like Turkey or you know, China or somewhere else, you will appreciate the freedoms you have here.
Yes.
You know,
that is exactly.
So I feel like they should just, please, they should just keep their mouth shut and stop criticizing the greatest nation in the world, and they should focus on, you know, their freedoms and their human rights and their democracy. So this is, America gave me everything I have, so I definitely appreciate the United States of America.
That's how I feel.
All right, so that's NBA player Enes Kanter Freedom. No, that's literally his name, because he has changed his name to Freedom. So, look, he just became an American citizen. Now, before I get into all that, I couldn't help but notice Tucker Carlson's shit-eating grin. Like, as he was saying, oh, you should just, you know, be quiet and not criticize our country, the greatest country in the world. He's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, so are we having somebody who, you know, that's an immigrant who's trashing other Americans? Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it. Look, Fox News, they love bringing on people, immigrants to bash immigrants, or immigrants to bash Americans who might actually have a legitimate issue with this country, with certain things this country does, or I should say certain things the government does. Which, by the way, Tucker Carlson, don't you also criticize the government? But okay, let's just go back here to Enes Kanter Freedom, right? So again, he's an immigrant. Welcome to America. So because he's an immigrant, maybe, you know, a very newly minted immigrant. In fact, he just became a U.S. citizen on Monday. So very, very new. So let me kind of explain freedom to you, so you don't quite get it. Freedom is not shutting up. Freedom is the ability to criticize the government when it does things that you don't like. Literally what America is based on. I mean, you've heard of no taxation without representation. Conservatives like to say that all the time, right? Well, that means if you pay your taxes, the government that you pay, you get the promise that you will be represented by said government. And that if you do not like the representation that is afforded to you, you can criticize that representation and remove it through the electoral process. Real simple how that works, okay? And that, of course, involves not shutting up and just enjoying your freedom, okay? Literally, it's part of the First Amendment. The right to petition the government for redress of your grievances is the right to make a complaint or seek the assistance of one's government without fear of punishment or reprisal. Now, I understand. So here's the thing, and I go back to Cenk Uygur as a good example of this. So Cenk Uygur is, he was an immigrant from Turkey, okay? Just like this guy. So Turkish immigrant, and he was a Republican for a long time. And I can understand, I see why, too. So you come from a place that's poor as dirt, right? Or at least from a job that's poor as dirt. And you come from a place that's a little repressive. For example, Turkey, kind of repressive, especially under Erdogan. So you come over here, and you're like, oh, yeah, freedom, democracy, yeah. And you don't, and it's sort of like the newness. It's almost like when you convert to a new religion, you get pretty zealous about it sometimes. And I've seen that happen where, oh, super zealous, like, or even if you become an atheist, you're like, yeah, well, atheism, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. Let me preach it, let me convert you, et cetera, et cetera. And that does happen, and then hopefully after a while, people kind of mellow out a little bit. And so, all right, that's what's going on here. So this guy's super excited to be an American. Totally fine. I'm actually totally fine with that. I don't have an issue there. My issue is what makes you an American is when you have so much of a love for your country that you want to make it better. And that's the thing. If you didn't care about this country, you wouldn't be trying to do things that make you better, that make the country better. You know what I'm saying? It's not just for like what you can do for your country, what your country can do for you, and all that. Well, what you can do for your country is to try to make your country a better place by pointing out the injustices, by pointing out things that are wrong. And so this is why I'm not being super harsh on Kanter, because again, he's kind of new to this and he doesn't know, I don't think he knows the whole Tucker Carlson thing. And I think he's just super excited to be a new American, so excited that he changed his name to Freedom. And here's Tucker Carlson saying, I can get this guy to bash other people who point out legitimate issues, you know? And so here's the thing. You have to understand, criticizing your country to make a better country does make you more American, because that's literally what America is based on. Look, we want this country to do better for its people, for its citizens. Because understand that like nowhere is perfect. We do things better here than obviously in other countries, and there are other countries that do things better than we do it here. What I've always been in favor of doing is taking the good ideas that have worked in other places, like for example, universal health care, free health care, universal health insurance, that is free, taking those from other countries because it has been shown to work and be effective, and doing it over here. That's one good idea. And so we should do that stuff, take the good ideas, incorporate them into our system, just like we've done with, for example, food. Different food types, bringing them over from overseas on other places. And we kind of put our own little spin on it. We Americanize it a little bit, and then like mass market it. Maybe that's not such a good thing. But you know what? No, you know what? That is a good thing. I love food. And I do love not only the original versions of the foods, but also the Americanized version of the food. Like pizza, for example. I think original pizza didn't have like sauce on it or anything. And so we do take things from other places and ideas, and we bring them over and we make them better. And that's what we're supposed to do. And so, again, this guy is an immigrant from Switzerland. He doesn't know any better. He's Turkish American. And look, when he calls out Erdogan, for example, when he calls out President Xi and the Chinese government, that's totally fine. That's totally fair. You can also call out the Philippines under Duterte, Kim Jong-un. There are plenty of other leaders, plenty of other dictators that are around here that should absolutely be called out. That also doesn't mean that we can't call out problems here in America as well. We've seen some of our freedoms disappear. Like the NSA, for example, who mass collects our metadata, our personal data. We've seen drone strikes on American citizens overseas on vague charges of terrorism. We've seen the government go after whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, Reality Winner, and of course, Stephen Donziger. He's literally rotting in a jail right now for winning a case against ExxonMobil on behalf of, I believe, the Ecuadorian government. So this corporation came in, they polluted a whole bunch of areas, and guess what? Stephen Donziger actually got them nailed in court. And you know what they did? They came over here and they used our rigged court system to prosecute Donziger on racketeering charges that were absolutely false and got him locked away. So, yes, we have legitimate issues with our government. Lack of paid leave for workers. Right now in this country, if you're a woman, you have a baby, no paid leave, no paid time off. Go back to the mines. Go back to work. Go back to work. So, how about the rich, for example, paying less in taxes than the middle class? How about wage theft by giant corporations? How about starvation wages, a minimum wage at $7.25 an hour? The lack of national health care. Now, I know Mr. Kanter Freedom doesn't have to worry about any of that because he's a wealthy millionaire basketball player. But that's what a lot of regular citizens have to worry about. So, yes, we do have a right to complain. We do. We do. And it's pretty damn un-American to tell someone to shut up when they have legitimate grievances. Now, let me just, again, point out the irony here. He's saying this on Tucker Carlson. Now, I don't, again, to give him credit, I don't think he knows who Tucker Carlson is, and that the fact that he is being used to push a narrative. Okay? He's just super excited about being an American. Wonderful. Good for you. Great, great, great. But Tucker Carlson, you know what he spent the last year doing? Complaining about the government under Joe Biden. And supporting the January 6th insurrectionists, and even saying, putting up a conspiracy theory that it was a member, an organization in the government, the FBI, that was setting up the January 6th Capitol insurrection in order to make Trump supporters look bad. So, come on. You want to talk about criticizing the government? Tucker Carlson, you're always criticizing the government. And look, it'd be fine if you were actually criticizing it on legitimate things, and maybe sometimes you do to get that, to make sure you got that faux populism thing down. But again, you know, there's some hypocrisy here. A lot of these Republicans really only do complain under a Democratic president. And of course, you could do vice versa as well. I just happen to complain because of the system, because there's systemic problems under both Democrats and Republicans. And so, you know, I hope Mr. Kanter Freedom does learn what actual freedom is, and that it's okay to go and, you know, redress your grievances. That's literally your right as an American. But I don't think he's going to do it if he's hanging out with Tucker Carlson.
If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.